Okay, this is going to be a lesson, day 3 lesson for factoring in Algebra 2. We're going to get into patterns, okay? Now, not all these patterns are going to work, but there's some quick things that may help you. First thing is the difference of squares, all right? And what you have to understand about that pattern is that factor is going to be, you're going to have one factor that's a plus and one factor that is a minus. And we'll talk about why in a second. What you're going to want to do is take the square root of both terms. Okay, so when I see this is now, I'm assuming you've already taken a GCF. Okay, so watch. One's a plus, one's a minus. I take the square root of these, okay? Now, what I'm looking for, square root of 1, square root of 25. You don't have to take the negative. I'm looking for non-decimals, so square root of 1x squared would be 1x. The square root of 25, 5 and 5, okay? Now, here is the reason why that works, okay? If you remember our discussion on box multiplication, if I FOIL that, 1x times 1x squared, 5 times that, positive 5x, 1x times that, negative 5x, 5 times that, negative 25. If you go to combine those go away, all right? Now, they couldn't have been a plus because those would combine to 10. They both can't be minus because those would combine to negative 20. We'll get into those in the next part, okay? So what I want to do to quickly check for it, I want to do square root of 9, square root of 16, all right? Both perfect there. So that means I'm going to have a plus and a minus. The square root of that's going to be 3x. The square root of that is going to be 4 and 4, okay? The big thing you got to understand is these are the same and those are the same, all right? So this one, I want to check that. Square root of 49, square root of 100. 7 and 10, all right? Good shape there. Plus, minus. Square root of that would be 7x, 7x. Square root of that. Now, just because it's a y squared, just put 10y. Just like you would with the x squared one, all right? And that's how simple that example is. Okay? Now you want to try these. Okay. Now, perfect square trinomials. A little bit more to this. Some similarities, though. Okay? What you want to do, go ahead and take the square root of both terms. Take the square root of first and last. Okay? We have a middle term, so it's going to be slightly different now. Okay? All right? So, well, let me move that. Oh, well, great. Okay? Square root of 1, square root of 10. Sorry, square root of 100. Okay, now, here's what I have to check. Here's the second thing. All right? You want to match the sign in the middle. Okay? Now, here's the concept. If that middle sign's a plus, this is going to be a plus. Square root of that was 1x. Square root of that was 10. Now, here's what you have to do. Okay? Ideally, that works for all of them, but it doesn't. What you have to do is you have to check. All right? You want to multiply the coefficients in your first factor and then multiply by 2. I'm going to explain why in a second. Okay? So if I do that, 1 times that would be 10x. 10x times 2 is 20x. And that's got to match the middle term. Has to match. Okay? Now you can do that at the beginning or the end, doesn't matter. Okay? So what I want to do here, all right, I want to do square root of 1, square root of 64. Square root of 1, I already know every time. Square root of 64 is 8. Okay? So I got to match the sign in the middle. So that's a minus, that's a minus. Okay? Square root of 1x squared was 1x. Square root of 64 was 8 and 8. Okay? So what I want to do to check, multiply these two. 1 times negative 8x is negative 8x. Times 2 is negative 16x. And that's what my middle is. So I know I'm right. And if you did like the box thing for this, right? All right, what would happen? That would be 1x squared minus 8x plus 64. Those would combine to that. So that's a shortcut, okay? You know, if you want to do that every time for every one of these, you can. Okay, all right, so square root of 4, square root of 25. Okay, let's see. Square root of 4, square root of 25. All right, potential there, okay? All right, match the sign in the middle. That's 2x, 2x. Square root of that was 5 and 5. Multiply these, that's negative 10x times 2, negative 20x. Good, I'm done. Okay, all right. This one, okay, square root of 9, square root of 16. Oops, square root of 9, square root of 16. Okay, so potential there for this. Got to keep that sign, 3x, 3x, 4 and 4. Multiply these two, that would be 12x times 2, 24x. I got a match there. Okay, all right. The reason why I have to multiply by 2 is I have 2 of the same thing. All right, so you guys can go ahead and practice those. Now, I should say with those perfect trinomials, you could always do the way we've been doing. I'm just showing you a shortcut, okay? Now, this is difference of cubes. A little bit different than the difference of squares, okay? This is a pattern-based deal, okay? So what you want to do, the pattern will be a 2 by 3 pattern, okay? Whatever sign is here, that will be the sign there, okay? This sign right here will always be positive. This sign right here is opposite of whatever your original is. That's sort of how the pattern works. Now, since it's cubes, I take a cube root. So what a cube root is what number multiplied by itself 3 times would give you 1? Well, that's 1x. Okay? Take the cube root of this. Okay? Now, if you're using a 4-function calculator, 4 times 4 times 4, all you do is play around till you figure out, okay, that's 4. That sign's going to be plus. Okay? Now, here's what you have to understand. This times this will give you 1x cubed. Well, what does that have to be? 1x squared. Okay? This times this, okay, has got to give you this one. Now, if you're not good at multiplication, just do division. That's going to be 16. 4 times 16 gives you that. Now, to find the term in the middle, it's almost like the difference of the perfect trinomials. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply those, okay, and in essence change the sign. Now, you could just multiply them. 1 times 4x is 4x. That'd be negative 4x. The other thing you know is that's a plus, that's a minus. You can do it either way, okay? So this one, 2 by 3 pattern. That sign's a minus, that sign's a minus. Always plus, opposite would be a plus, okay? Cube root of 27x cubed. All right, so play around with numbers. Well, 3 times 3 times 3, is that 27? Yeah. So 3x, okay, is that term. All right? What terms multiplied together by itself would give you 125? 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, so this times this has got to give you 27. Well, if you don't have good multiplication skills, just divide the numbers. That'd be 9x squared. Okay? Then negative 5 times what would give me 125? Well, I'll just do division if you don't know. That's 25. To get the middle term, I multiply those. 3x times 5 would be 15x, and that's what's going to go here. Okay? All right? If you want to do it where it's multiplied and just put that there, that's fine as well. Okay? Let's do another one. All right? 2 by 3. Okay, that's a minus, plus, plus. Cube root of 8x cubed. Well, I think that's 2 times 2 times 2. Yep, that would be 2x. Cube root of 1, that's easy. That's just going to be 1. So 2x times what would give me 8x cubed? That would have to be 4x squared. 1 times what would have to give me 1? That's easy. That's 1. To figure out the term in the middle, multiply those. 2x times 1 is 2x. It's going to go right there. Okay? All right, let's do another 2 by 3 pattern. Okay, cube root of 216. Well, let's play around with that. 4 times 4 times 4 was that. Whoops, sorry. Let's do 6 times 6 times 6. Yep, that's 216. So 6x, that's a plus, that's a plus. Okay? We got to change this. I don't want that to be 49. I want that to be, sorry, 7 times 7 times 343. Sorry. Should not be 49. It should be 343. Sorry about that. Okay. And that's 7 times 7 times 7. And since it's got the y, just put 7y. This times this has got to give me 216. Well, I might divide myself. Yep, that's 36. Okay, x squared. That's going to be a minus. That's going to be a plus. 7 times what would give me that? 343 divided by 7. 49. To get the term in the middle, multiply those. 6 times 7 would be 42 with an x and a y. Okay? All right, so that's the pattern for difference of cubes. Okay? You go ahead and try these on your own. Now we're going to put it all together. All right? Taking out a GCF. Always make sure you do that. So this one, I got to take out a GCF of 2 before I start. So that's going to be x squared minus 100. Okay? That 2 goes down next to my answer. All right, and I can check this. Well, I know square root of 1 is perfect. Square root of 100 is 10. Okay? So this is going to be 1x plus, 1x minus, with the 10 and the 10. Okay, and that is it. Okay? This one, I think 10 goes in here. 10 divided by 10. So 10 is going to go down with my answer. That's going to be x cubed minus 27. And here's a pattern one. 2 by 3 pattern. Since this is a minus, this would be a minus. This is always a plus. This is opposite, so plus. Okay? Cube root of x cubed, that's easy. That's going to be 1x. Cube root of 27, that's got to be 3. Okay? Now, I want to cross those off because I don't want to get confused with what I'm doing. 1x times what would give me 1x cubed? That's got to be 1x squared. 9 times what would give me 27? I'm sorry, 3 times what would give you 27? That would be 9. Multiply these. That would be 3x. That's what goes in the middle. Okay? This one, I think 12 doesn't go into 27. 6 doesn't go into 27, but 3 does. So I want to take out a 3 here. Okay? Put that down by my factored answer. It's going to be 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. Okay, I see those possible perfect square roots. So square root of 9, square root of 4. All right, so what I would have is I'd have 3x. This is a minus, 3x, and a minus. That'd be 2 and 2, okay? The way I know I'm right, if I multiply those, okay, 3x times that's negative 6x, times 2 of that would be negative 12x, which matches up. That would be my answer. You can do the factoring just like we've done it. That is fine as well. Okay, go ahead and try these 3 on your own.